Welcome to Feelings and Other F Words. I'm Dr. Daryl Appleton, and yes, I am completely aware that my headphones are half off my head. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I know I just won't ever get used to the sound of my own voice hitting my eardrum in live time. So bear with me. I know how it looks. But today's F word, back on track, Daryl. Today's F word is all about forgery. And we're not talking like fake handbags or fake lashes. What we're talking about is fake personas. We're talking about forced positivity. And we're talking about a new phrase that I love, performative authenticity. Love that. To me, I'm going to use this word intentionally. We are a world that is addicted to self presentation. Truly. I mean, there's no other way to say it. We are addicted to self presentation, how you show up in the world, whatever your quote brand is. And we've actually entered what psychologists call a quote authenticity paradox. And basically, what it is the more we try to be ourselves, the more we curate, the more we control, and the more that we ultimately conceal about our authentic self. And guess what? It's making us sick. So I did a little research and deep dive, and there's a few studies, but the ones that jumped out to me were these two. In the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, that was a 2023 study, they actually saw that people who felt pressure to present an idealized version of themselves, and this was online actually, report 30% higher rates of anxiety and burnout. Give you one guess of who is the most susceptible to this. I'll give you one guess. High achieving women. High achieving women were the most susceptible to feeling higher rates of anxiety and burnout trying to present an idealized version of themselves online. That tracks. That tracks. How many of us out there have like deleted a picture because we didn't look amazing, or went out to an event and took a bunch of pictures that would help our grid or our feed, or it would go into a reel or our stories that people may like, but we actually didn't end up enjoying the event because we were too busy trying to catch pictures of it. And listen, sometimes that is people's jobs. I also understand that too, but that's their job, right? Like there's a line there as well. There's also a study that was done in 2022 that found that emotional labor, especially when it was tied to surface acting, so pretending to feel something when you actually don't. And this to me goes both ways. And I didn't see it in the study, but it goes both ways of, wow, I'm going to pretend that I feel happy, even though I'm incredibly sad or depressed or postpartum. Like I'm going to do this performative piece because everybody else around me expects that of me. And I think of it on the other side of pretending you feel something that you actually don't, of, oh my God, everybody's complaining or everybody feels this way. And I actually don't, but I'm going to just roll with it because everyone else is complaining about it. And I can't say I actually love my job. So that to me, pretending like you feel something you don't, surface acting, that's what that is actually directly linked to depression, disconnection, and even cardiovascular strain. So forgery, fakery, is making us sick. And to me, it's not just even a social media issue, right? Like it's really not. I see it in boardrooms. How many of us have done it in the bedroom? How many of you have faked an orgasm, right? Performative authenticity. I've seen it in parenting. I've seen it in partnerships. I've even seen it in wellness and well-being, right? How many times are we getting on the gram talking about like best day ever when you've had the worst day? And the issue to me is that we are praised for bringing our whole selves. We're praised for bringing our whole selves to work, but we're punished when that self has needs. We preach vulnerability, but we absolutely reward control. And we say that authenticity sells, but the algorithm absolutely favors polished narrative over the true narrative and the truth of it all. Because, like, that's what they do. That's what they do. So, for a person to try to be aligned, I love that word, and authentic and show up as they are, it's kind of conflicting because we are being pulled in all these different directions, telling us not to, or punishing us for when we actually do. I'll give you an example, and it came to mind, and it's probably not the best example, but I remember feeling this. So let me back up. I try to be who I am on this podcast, in the street. online, if you've done a lecture with me, if you've done a coaching session with me, like I try to show up as the same person because like I believe in operating from center. I believe in taking up space in your own world. I truly do believe that. It doesn't mean like I will be the exact same person. Like obviously if you see me in a boardroom, I'm going to be a little bit different than if you see me like trying to like tackle one of my kids and get them into the car. Like, listen, I'll tackle a board member. I have no problem with it. But again, you know what I mean? Like there are slight variations, but the center remains the same. And I actually had probably the highest compliment I've ever been paid. I was out at this is not the story, this is a tangential thing. I'll get to the story in a second. But I was out at an event in Newport and somebody came up to me. I had my first like celebrity moment. They were like, oh my God, I follow you online. I love you. Can I get a picture with you? And I was like, oh my God. And when she left, she was like, you're exactly who you are online. And I was like, that is the best compliment you could ever pay me. And in the car, Jimmy and I were debriefing on the way home. He's like, how was that for you? And I was like, like I truly don't give a shit about being recognized. Like but that does not phase me in one way or another. Sure, it's nice, it's cool. But the thing that she said mattered more to me of like, wow, like you are you. And I think that to me is important. And it's taken a while. Listen, I'm not saying here being like, I have it all figured out. I don't. I've just realized like I'm not going to lean into fakery anymore. The story that I was trying to get to is before the twins, I had a miscarriage and people praised me for getting back to work so quickly. And I found that to be so bizarre. So this is kind of going back into this whole thing of like, preaching vulnerability and then praising control. They're like, oh my God, you bounced back. You're so resilient. And oh my God, like your grit. And I was like, that's what I needed. Like, that's how I handled it. But like, why, if somebody else doesn't have that, why is that worse? Like, that's what they need. I needed something different. It has nothing to do with my grit. It had everything to do with how I cope, which might be unhealthy on some level, but that's what I needed to cope. And this has been an episode that I've been thinking a lot about. And our guest today really helped it come to fruition because their podcast is absolutely amazing. And they talk a lot about this. So they really brought this to life because I didn't have a name for it. I didn't realize that it was forgery. I didn't realize that this performative authenticity existed and that dichotomy. I mean, I knew it existed, but I didn't have the words for it. So this was a long time coming. But in today's episode, in the interview that I'm doing after and the conversation we're having, we're going to be talking about like, how do you spot the fakes in yourself and in other people? And how do you know when you've become aligned and how do you get there? So really and truly, I'm so happy. We're going to be deep diving into this theme with the women from the Take podcast who really and truly, their podcast is fantastic. I mean, you would think these women are therapists. They're not, but you should absolutely listen to them. And I give them such high praise because they give you action steps. They call you out. They talk about this dichotomy of yes and, like my yes and. I'm on their podcast coming out, depending on when this airs. So you'll definitely hear my yes and I'll give you a sneak peek, which is you can love your husband and want to bury them in the backyard and know how to get away with it, right? Like those two things can exist. I am not promoting murder of your spouse, by the way. I'm saying like I completely understand how you can love somebody so much and be like, I will end you. Anyway, but we are going to be talking out in our conversation here, really when real is actually rehearsed, the mental toll of performative life, and how to come back to something more honest, even if it's a little chaotic and messy. Because really and truly being you shouldn't feel like a full-time performance. Like, because the truth is the one thing that you can't fake. So enjoy this conversation and I will see you on the other side. I am here with Jersey girls. If you don't see me, I'm wearing leopard. I have my fake tan going. I'm ready. I'm ready for the occasion. I am so excited to be with Michelle and Mel and talking all about forgery today. And not stolen art, but like stolen self. There's something about how we potentially disservice ourselves. And you talk about so much on your podcast about this. I guess really like my first question And I know we're going to do like, oh my God, thank you for being here. Yes, I am so glad, happy you guys are here. But like, how do you guys spot fakes or fake people? Like, is there a way that you do? You talk about it a lot in your episodes. Like, I want to dive right into this. Like, how do we spot it?
That's the question.
In the depths of your soul. Yeah. It is that hair on the back of your neck. It is that, like, you know, maybe it's the empaths in us. And I think that's where like our initial connection was created, the two of us. But just knowing if it doesn't feel good or something is kind of like raising, we're two people who love to get vulnerable and deep and be transparent as much as possible. And there's a lot of people that don't enter that way, and that's okay too, right? Like everyone's coming from different situations, and it can be really hard to enter in that space for some people. But then there's an in-between of it's disingenuine. And that for me is like one of the biggest red flags. And it's really hard because of where I enter from to connect with people like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're problem solvers. We're helpers. We want to fix. And often when we hear people say like, oh, I don't want to go in that direction, or maybe just something doesn't feel right, we're like, but why? Let's really go there, because there's usually a big question mark that has to be uncovered, which can lead to more authenticity. And that's, again, the exciting part of our space, too.
I love that. And it sounds like part of it's visceral, part of it's then digging in, which feels very therapeutic in its own way. And I think that, you know, becoming a mom, at least for me, it's been way more awareness around the tinglies, because now you have kids and now there's like so much else at stake. Have you guys found that becoming moms has shifted that for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for the worse, but for the better, I guess. It's just like more intense.
Yeah, I feel like more is at stake, right? Whether you're looking at it from a modeling standpoint, like what do I want to model for my daughter and my future son? I'm a bit pregnant right now, so I'm so puffy. But I think there's that, you know, I don't want to just be saying one thing and leading in another way. Also, it's just like, who has the time? Honestly, I don't have the time anymore to like dig into something that there was a version of myself before motherhood and before my 30s where I think if I couldn't click with someone, I needed to figure out why. Like, what do you mean? Like, I think that's like a little bit of Sagittarius in me. Like, no, you're going to like me. Whereas now it's like, that's okay. Like, I have plenty of people that do like me for who I am. And I'm not going to be everyone's favorite person. And realizing like on the other side, how much more fruitful life is when you really lean into the relationships that match your energy.
You're my favorite person, Mel.
You're mine. You
guys are both mine. So, I mean, like, and I wonder, like, again, I'm speaking off the top of my head, how much of this is we're taught this as women, right? That people pleasing. And I know that's a blanket statement because a lot of us now are not taught that. And how much of that does that impact us the other direction of, I don't want to get to know you because I don't have to, I don't need that. And then we're wasting opportunities to really find our people. Yeah. I don't know, like what has been your experience as you guys have unpacked all these different levels of human nature in your own ways? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think people are still trying to figure out who they are and what makes them them and why. And until you really take a good look in the mirror, which is something Mel and I preach all the time, like we're all works in progress, whips, if you will. And before you kind of own that, it's actually like kind of sad to not be there because we're all learning along the way. So the only person who is not at an advantage if you're not looking in the mirror is you.
Yeah. And I think it like breaking down even further, like from a society standpoint, I think for generations, there's this like very two-faced version of like how women should form together. And it's this idea of like they should be really involved and you should have a lot of girlfriends and you should be on committees together in the PTA and this and that. But the way it's either, you know, shows in the media or shows in like movies and this and that is like even just look at mom talk, right? Like, it's like, oh, we're mom talk. And then it's like, but there's a lot going on there,
I've
right?
slept with your husband and now I'm ready to fight you.
Yeah. And like, listen, like I'll devour it all day long, but like, it's sad to see how like women's friendships and like the way in which we like support each other is like generally portrayed, when in reality, you have so many women, especially in the phase of life that we're all in, that are so deeply lonely, even when surrounded by other women. And what power we would hold is if we actually just sat here and like connected with the people on a vulnerable and authentic level and really just entered from like assuming people are good people and assuming that we're good on the inside and that people have great intentions and that we're all figuring it out. It's all of our first time here. And that's what really inspires Michelle and I to get on and talk about this every week. But it's just this, like, why does it have to be that way? Like, I don't need to just join a PTA meeting just to say that I did and then not really, like, make connections with people. I'd rather just have it be from, like, an authentic place.
And I feel like being a child of the 90s, like we were shown very clear images of you either have like Mean Girls or it's Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, right? Like we are, and it's so hard because I think friendships for women look different than it does for men. You know, I haven't talked to some of my best friends in weeks/months because we're all moms and we're busy, and I'll like send a meme or be like, wellness check, how you doing? And then she'll drop some trauma and then she'll be like, how are you? And I'm like, about my trauma. And I'll be like, did you see this though? Like, it's like, we're piecing it together. And I love that online has given us so much more access to community. But I don't know, to your points, I don't think that we always do the work, that look in the mirror work of what do I need? And how do I need it? And if your algorithm's all fucked up, you're going to get swayed into a place and a space that's not real. It's not good for you.
Right. And then who's winning there? No one.
The algorithm.
Quite literally. And who's going to pull you out of that?
Mm-hmm. So where do you guys think you've seen the biggest forgery playground, so to speak? Do you think it's in dating? Do you think it's in the friendships? Do you think it's work and like girl bossing or soft girler or like whatever, coastal grandma, like whatever we're at right now? Like
Coastal
where have you guys
grandma.
seen it?
That's amazing.
I think
I
it's
want to be a
just
coastal grandma so bad.
Yeah.
Same.
As I like, stare at my like burned hydrangeas outside.
It's not giving coastal grandma.
She'll be there one day. It's exactly that. I think it really is coming from a place of like all these different hats we wear. And that we're constantly trying to be everything to everyone all at once. And I don't think that's something that we should be ashamed of. I think that's a superpower. And it's not an achievable superpower every single day, right? There's some days when it's good, it's really, really good. And when it's bad, it's really, really bad. But I think it's this idea of looking at people's highlight reels and looking at what even the most vulnerable people, you know, Michelle and I sit here all the time saying we don't have anything figured out, but you could look and be like, oh, they work full-time jobs, they have podcasts and they have kids, but like, we're still struggling. Like we're still having a really hard time some days. And then some days it feels really good. So I think that is where I, right now in my current phase of life, like see the most forgery out there of just like the keeping up and how to just constantly stay ahead.
And I think it dovetails so beautifully with boundaries too. Like I'm just thinking, even as I'm playing with my almost 5-year-old little boy who loves Spider-Man and Legos, and I'm like trying to be Ghost Spider, and in my head I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I love playing with you, but this is forgery. Like it really is, right? But so it's like finding that balance of like, actually, like I'm gonna play with you to do Ghost Spider for 5 minutes, and then something about it just doesn't feel right to me, and we'll build blocks later today. That feels better to play.
I love that because I think you just struck a nerve with like every mother out there, for sure. And I think also it speaks to this, you know, I'm deep into the science and stuff, but there's a lot of research around this therapy culture of me first, and it should be what I want. And if it doesn't feel like what I want, then I'm not going to do it. But I guess the question really is sometimes forgery a necessity? Do we need to fake it And I guess that's my question for you guys. What are your thoughts?
I can't help, I mean, Michelle, I'll let you take this, but like, I can't help but think of two truths and a lies, because like,
Same.
that's exactly what we come to every single week. And I'll let you define that because you're much better at making that concise. But
We're beautiful balance. So high level, our take on two truths, no lies is two things can exist at one time. I love being a mom, and being a mom is really hard. I love playing with my son, and sometimes I don't want to play Spider-Man, right? It's that two things can exist at the same time. So with that, Mel, take it away.
it gives us permission. It's a permission slip to own that forgery of it all. To own, like, yeah, I'm not faking it. I'm not sitting here and saying I love being a mom. And then when I'm at home behind closed doors and I'm like, I need a minute. I need an effing minute. And like, you have to do bedtime tonight. And then like going on and being like, I can't believe like this is the youngest day she'll ever be this old or whatever it is. Like, no, I feel both things today. I feel both things. Two truths, no lies. And I think that is why that's a tenant for our space, is because like it's a way to like release the guilt and a permission slip to be like, both things can be true. Like every single day.
Yep. And in therapy, ladies and gentlemen, we call that dichotomy. You
Yes.
can feel multiple ways about a thing at once. And feelings are real and they are valid, but they are not facts. And if you haven't listened to the MCAS podcast, like there's something to be said about the reality that you guys bring into the space. Like, I think we need to also give people permission to have bad days, right? Give and take, myself, our spouses, our kids. And it's hard to keep all this in our head, right? Like it's hard to doing it. But I do think there might be an upside to faking it, right? Like we have to go to this event tonight, and I won't say which one because somebody's going to listen to this and be like, oh God, you didn't want to be here? And am I dreading it? But I know once I go, I'll have fun, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I'm going to have to fake it a little bit in the beginning until whatever it is that clicks in my brain of being an introvert is like, you're okay, you're safe, you're all right.
Right. There's no bear. Right.
You can pirate exit at any time. You own a car. So I do think that sometimes being able to fake it is a skill. Where do you guys think the line is, though? Have you seen like, okay, after these behaviors, then we're getting into this is now a personality trait, and I'm not faking it in a positive way. I'm faking it in a negative way.
Mel, I see you thinking.
I mean, listen, you got to meet yourself where you are, and you need to, I mean, therapy is a beautiful thing. It's really hard for me to not just like start there, like, right? Like, but I recognize not everyone is like constantly, wanting to open up their brain and look deep inside. But you got to know where you're entering from, and saying, it's fine, I'm going to be flexible. I understand that my husband has he's not just at work, like playing on a playground, like he's doing things and I need the support at home, but that's okay because this is the decision we've come to and this is the system that we have. And some days it's really hard, and sitting here constantly being like, I'm going to be flexible, I'm going to be a supportive wife, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and then not honoring and having a conversation of like, hey, this week has felt really, really heavy on me and I need more support. I know you're doing everything you can, and also I need you to find something else. I need you to like go look under a bed somewhere and find a little bit more support for me because I'm having a hard time. And that for me is something I've come to in the last few years of just like, even when I want to be strong and be able to manage it all, I got to ask for more help. And as an empath, when I see other people who I know or I assume are struggling with the same thing based on reading the room, reading between the lines and all the things, and I just see them holding on to like, nope, but I got this, we got this, we got this. And it's like, it's okay to say you don't, though. It doesn't make you less today, tomorrow. You could not get it today and feel great tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. But that's immediately where my brain goes when I think about that. What about you, Michelle?
Yeah, and Mel will punt that back to me. We got this. Like, I don't have childcare for the week and I'm balancing a job and my husband's working for the city. I got this. She'll be like, but do you? But do you though? I have all the confidence in you, and you need support to Truth No Lies, right? So I appreciate always getting that punted back to me, but I think it also goes back, and I'm a huge Swiftie, so I can't stop singing the I Can Do It With a Broken Heart link. What is that? I can fake it till I make it, and I did. Like, if you're always faking it more than you're actually doing it, red flag.
Yeah.
So you almost have to take inventory and think about, okay, am I faking everything? Then that's maybe this is too much, and maybe we need to make a different change moving forth.
That's great, Michelle. I love that.
It's so good. And it reminds me of what we were talking about off camera. We were talking about, this idea that what we consume matters, and just being around people and having these conversations is a great way to start to live. What we're really talking about is authentic. It's authenticity, right?
Yes.
And this way to be like, okay, I have to do this because there's no childcare. My husband's working, and I got a million things. Like, I have to. There's no other thing. And where can I ask for help? And where can I, bring in my tribe? Or if I don't have a tribe, automate things. Or I don't know, like, you can wear your Spider-Man costume out today because I don't give a fuck what you wear because I can't, right?
Literally.
Like, I love you. You're clothed, great. Just make sure your shoes are on.
Right.
And I think like, we don't always see that online. And we're starting to more now. The other side of it is almost feels performative. So now there's almost this forgery of chaos.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's this dichotomy, right? And we like to land right in the middle as positive realists. But there's this idealistic, we have it all figured out. It's beautiful home, beautiful life, doing the dream. And then this like motherhood is brutal. It sucks. It's completely chaotic. You're never going to get out of it, but like but I'm going to make an effort to enjoy every moment. And there is an in between. There's absolutely an in between. And as a vulnerable postpartum new mom, when you're only seeing one or the other, it's really isolating. Because they don't speak to you. They just speak to different days of your life, if that.
Oh, I love that you just said that. Yes.
I feel like the middle is where we're really lacking in terms of representation.
Yeah, what do they call that in DBT? Walk the middle path or something? Walk the line.
There you go.
Yeah. Bell curve normal.
Yeah,
These
right.
are outliers we are talking about. No, it's interesting. So a lot of my clients and stuff are in New York City. And again, being from Jersey, I love going back. It's an easy train ride. One of my clients works very closely, and I won't name names, with a very influential mommy, Instagram-y person who is this hot mess of a human being online. But when you see her in real life, it's the opposite. She has 3 nannies. She comes from an extraordinarily amount of wealth, which again, I'm not hating, do you? But it's interesting because the persona online is messy bun, chaos, this and that. Not saying that's not real for her. I think my point being is everything online is not real.
Yeah.
Right.
And take what you need from it. It's take a penny, leave a penny, so to speak. But it's not always authentic because online, how authentic do you guys think it can actually be?
We struggle with that all the time. I think that's also a huge struggle of like our podcast really getting off the ground, because we know we have to post a lot, but we're like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But we know we have to, because that's a way to get discovered. So it's, again, walking that middle line. I think there's a ton of inauthenticity. My sister-in-law just had her first child a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, I got to get off Instagram. Like, this is a terrible place to be. Yeah. And I'm like, get off, put a podcast on. Listen to the M-Take, listen to something else. Like, right? Like, use your time that way, because it's going to allow your brain to spiral in a more productive direction, instead of saying like, oh, that person's also a newborn mom and they look like they got everything figured out. They don't. I promise you, they do not.
We have this hack that we do, like a doom scroll alternative list. And it's like, those running to-do lists that you have of things that like maybe you need a creative brain, or you need to just be like sitting on your phone. Like you want to build a Pinterest board for your kid's room or something like that. I'm like constantly creating a list of that, so that when I feel I'm getting into one of those modes of social where like either the doom scroll is unproductive, I'm staying on it too long. Like if I feel that urge to go, recently, not to take this down a dark path, but recently with all the floods that happened in Texas, like it is, especially as a mother, like it is just, I can't, like I literally cannot. My heart is absolutely broken for those families. I could not go on social media as a result because it was just, I can't even imagine. So like I needed to activate my doom scroll alternative list. And like anytime I felt like I wanted to go on to Instagram, I like pulled up my doom scroll alternative list and like went on Pinterest and built this and, you know, ordered new diapers and like literally all this is my to-do list. But point being, with back to what Michelle said, it's really, really hard when you start a podcast as to just like normal people that aren't influencers and content creators, because like what did Alana say? It's like a tree falling in the woods. Like It doesn't matter how good your content is if it's not out there on Instagram. So we're doing it backwards, and we're trying to get our content out there so that people will listen and feel less alone and like hopefully enjoy these conversations because they feel seen or heard in them. But as a vehicle to do that, we like need to be on social media, and we need to be putting out that mommy content, and we need to be putting out that personhood content. And that's just like not organically where we enter from.
And that in itself, you cannot escape the dichotomy, right?
I know.
There's no escaping it. And I think people judge people online very harshly, right? Some of the comments I've gotten, I'm sure you guys have gotten them on certain things. And you're like, ma'am, sir, do you have anything better to do than this? I think I posted something in my stories about, it was like the world's best responses to recipes. And it was like, you didn't tell us when to put the chocolate chips in. Like, why is there peanut butter in this? And like the author was like, this is a recipe for peanut butter cookies. Like, you know, like 0 out of 10 worst chocolate chip cookies ever. It's like, right, they're not chocolate chip cookies. And I just think that's so funny because it is very hard when you're seeing a snapshot of something, putting your lens of interpretation on it, your biases, your trauma, uppercase or lowercase t. Mm-hmm. And I love the M take, and I love what you guys do in your content and in your podcast is not only do you break it down, but you give people actionable steps in what to do next. Mm-hmm. That to me is where we lack a lot. I think we've been able to identify the problem. I think we've been able to like normalize it to an extent. We still need work on that. But then it's the navigation piece of like, what do we do next? Yes. So like, I love a to-don't list. I love a doom scroll list. Like, I think that stuff like that is incredibly valuable. What other things are in your bag of tricks there? Like, what other action steps do you give to people that are struggling with dichotomy or the in-between?
I think high level, before we get to that answer specifically, we love this framework of we're going to vent because we have to and we're human. So give the space to vent, but also then know when to go to the insight part of the conversation. And then when you're finished with the insight part of the conversation, go to the solutions. And that's where Mel and I thrive almost too much.
Yeah.
Because we're like solution. And sometimes you got problems to solve. And then other times you have conundrums that you just have to cope with. But doing that together is where we get really excited because that's our space.
You guys are a therapist's dream, by the way.
We actually share the same therapist.
We do. She's the producer of our show.
Yeah, we always say like this at the end, we should be like, this show is produced by our therapist's name.
She needs production creds. It's working, ma'am. Love it. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. I say to my clients all the time, you get 15 minutes to vent, then you're just marinating in the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
15 minutes, and then we need to move on to a solution.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's where people get caught up. I always tell Mel, like, you got 2 ears and you got 1 mouth. Listen more than you talk, right? It always
mom phrase.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Right?
Yeah. Listen more than you speak.
Yeah.
And it's true.
But you'll find that people just want to talk and talk and talk. And it's like, are you going to continue? Are you in this complain, don't change cycle?
Yeah.
And if you are, the only person that can answer the yes to that is you. Because I know that they are.
Yeah.
But if they don't know that they are, then you're never going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And we really like to come up with tangible, digestible, whether it's just phrases like mantras and think abouts that you can have in your back pocket. And now they're just so second nature to us, like whether it's 2 truths and lies or what's another one? Michelle, off the top of my
We
head.
said it in our episode yesterday, and I've repeated it all day today. Like, each day is not the same.
Exactly.
Each day is not the same, for better, for worse.
So
Today is for worse. but-
Exactly. And when you don't have these like, when you have these like mini moments throughout the day, you have hundreds of them where you need to like pull out a coping skill, like just having like little phrases you can tell yourself to like validate yourself in that moment and maybe reset is something that's huge for us. And we talk about it every week and we live it every day with each other. Then we have these like larger concepts, right? Like things that we come back to. And when you were asking that question, one thing that really made me think of it was our Shitstorm Playbook. So like everyone should have a Shitstorm Playbook. So like when you start to feel it happening and you're like, we're not talking like, oh, mom's about to have some big feelings, or even just Mel's about to have some big feelings at work. Like, no, we're like, we've been having big feelings for a week. Like we're about to have like a quarterly meltdown. Like that's where we're going to be. We're going to be on the floor crying like a toddler.
Yes.
When you feel that happening, you can activate your Shitstorm Playbook. And what are like the things that you can do that will ground you and bring you back, maybe not to center, but bring you, just scale you back a little bit before you get there. And I literally have one in my notepad. I take a BYSO, which, as Michelle and I said, burn your skin off. It's a really hot shower. Like we BYSO, we get in there, we do a hot shower. We're putting on really comfy clothes, nothing restricting. It's comfort, it's big, then you are ordering food. You're not cooking, you're not cleaning, we're ordering food. We're asking for help if we need it. We're having someone come over and help. We're just telling our husband we can't do bedtime tonight, or even just scheduling help for the next day so you know that it's on the horizon. Mm-hmm. All these little things, I could name off 20 more, but like, what are your things that you can access? And it's not like, I need to go get a massage, or I need to go on a 3-day trip. Mm-hmm. Like things that you can activate within the next 6 hours to really like bring yourself back down. Because I think everyone needs something like that. And no matter what your situation is, everyone gets there at some point or another.
I love this. It's emotional doomsday prepping, right? Like there's
exactly. Yes.
And you do it when you're in a better frame of mind and have a little bit more energy because you have your box, your list, whatever it is ready. I stick money into winter coat pockets on purpose in the summer. Like, but again, it's like, yeah, thank you. Pass it Daryl. Like, exactly. So I love what you're saying. And I hope everybody out there is listening to this. Like, do it when you have the energy to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when that comes, you don't need to do all that extra work in figuring out, what do I want to eat? What are we going to like, what am I doing? Oh my God, like, how do I get up off the floor? No, it's there for you because scientifically, when your brain gets to that point, executive functioning goes way down and we want someone to tell us what to do. To your point, I would rather it be you telling you what to do than somebody on social media or somebody in your life that maybe doesn't fully get it or get you. And then you're, sitting in a massage crying.
That's not self-TLC for anybody.
I would take that, though. I suppose there are worse examples I could have brought to the table, to be fair. But yeah, like, I love that. And that to me is accountability. It's self-awareness. It's all these things. Like, if I could give a woman any gift, it would be self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-love, and like ways to progress that. And I love that's what you guys do in every episode, in your hot takes. Like, I think it's wildly important. And I'm not just saying that. I'm from Jersey. I don't give compliments when they're not necessary or needed. So I think what you're doing is incredibly, incredibly valuable. So
we're so passionate about it, just to help people fill up their own self-TLC cup and allow them the self-awareness, to your point, to question, is this filling up my self-TLC cup or is this filling up my plate? Because that is a difference with a distinction, right? And we are so empowered to have our own conversations where we're like, okay, we're burnt. We need to carve out some space for ourselves, and let's hopefully inspire somebody else to do that too. And whether that's a joy ticket to a crying massage, sounds great, but or something else, right? Like that's what it's all about. And whether it's triggered by a forgery type of comment from seeing something on social that allowed someone to spiral, you're striking when the iron isn't hot by having those shitstorm playbooks that you can activate. It comes from you.
And it's really important to double click on the fact that like it's not like growth isn't linear, and like as we evolve, these things change, and we talk about it constantly, and that what worked yesterday might not work today. And even your Shitstorm Playbook, you know, the first time I created that was right after a meltdown. It was what got me to that place. And I was like, okay, like trying to be solution oriented, and rather than thinking about, because, you know, big or little T's, like our body is going to forget, right? Our body is going to forget what it felt like. And for a lot of women, like our defense mechanism in that point, our coping mechanism is like, well, it really wasn't that bad. We then blame ourselves for getting to that place. It really wasn't that big of a deal. I was hormonal. It was a full moon. I was having big feelings. But like the reality is like we have so much going on at all times, and we're just doing the best we can. So when when you're coming off of something like that, it's important to reflect upon not like, why did I let it get there? But like, what helped me to get back? And then you create that playbook, and you know what? A year from now, like that playbook might need to change because you've changed, your environment has changed. And really continuing to just know that like, even when you're feeling really, really, really good, that's great. Ride that wave. And then in 6 months, if you're not feeling really good and those things aren't working anymore, you're not failing. You've just grown.
Right. And hopefully you have. If your playbook's the same and it's all the same, that's also a place to check in on why. Yes. Am I playing too small? Am I afraid? Am I masquerading comfort for just not my potential in whatever, or happiness in whatever direction? I mean, I love human nature. I love, you know, behavior and things like that. And to you guys' point, like there is no clear path forward other than the one forged for yourself.
Exactly. Right. And if you're the one who is questioning like, oh, why was this so hard? Or this wasn't a big deal. Let it be a big deal. Let it be hard. Don't pretend that it's not, because you're the only one that's going to suffer moving forth.
The grit and growth mindset people are like, yes, Angela Duckworth is out there being like, of course, lean in. Yes, of course. Yeah. And it's true. And I wish more moms, especially, and dads, parents, wish that they understood what you're doing isn't little, right? And we could go into a whole other conversation about gentle parenting and yada, yada. We won't, because I will get on a soapbox and not come down. But I do think that there is something about allowing yourself to be human. And I do think that we need to move from, it's not survival mode and it's not thriving. Thriving and surviving aren't the only options. Stabilization, that piece in the middle, is where you hopefully spend a lot of your time. And then you will dip into survival mode every once in a while, because guess what? Life is fucking gonna life you. Yes. And then on the other side, you're going to thrive, but not if you don't stabilize. It's impossible. And I love that you guys deliver those tips and tricks on how to get all places out of survival into stabilization and then into thriving.
And if you're not someone who, and we, you know, motherhood is not martyrdom, like let's shout it from the rooftops. But if you're someone who that has been modeled to you and it's hard for you to kind of turn that off, we have empathy for that and we see you. And if it's hard for you to think about all this as like it pertains to you, think about it as it pertains to your child. And think about what you're modeling for them in choosing this for yourself, right? You're modeling to them how to move through something. You're modeling to them that life isn't perfect and that mom is going to have emotions and mom's going to have feelings and mom's going to have hard days and she's going to have good days. But like at the end of the day, we're sturdy. We're here. We worked through it. Like these are all things you're teaching your kids via life and like being there with them and the people around you too. Like you don't want to be on a soapbox, like talking about on a podcast weekly with your best friend, talking about all the best ways to do all these things and then like show up for your friends differently, right? Like that doesn't feel good. You want to be this vulnerable, transparent, authentic version of yourself. So I think it's really that too, you know, just if you can't do it for yourself, do it for the people around you and like what you're modeling for them.
I think that is great advice. And it feels like my favorite F word, which is freedom. This idea of being authentic allows you to be free and at peace, which I have to ask you all, what is your favorite F word?
Oh,
Michelle, you go first. The one, I know.
The main one. That is a really good question. I really like friendship. I mean, there's probably so many. Really?
Of course. I'll come up with
Look
another
at
one.
that.
I'll come up with another one. But that, of course it was. Of course.
Of course
Go.
it was. There's just such beauty. I mean, my current husband was my best friend first, and I know that we're an anomaly in that situation, but friendship is just such a special space. Oh, I'm going to get a little emotional. It's just, Mel and I always refer to it as our unicorn space from Eve Brodsky, and like that magic of how we have that time and our special M-take space, there's nothing like that. And it started offline, we brought it online, and it just continues. And we're Glinda from Wicked and Alphabet Unlimited, right? And it's like that part when you really have that strong, sturdy friendship, that real vulnerable, this is me, love it or leave it. There's nothing better than that.
That platonic intimacy, you know?
Yes.
I love that. Perfect answer.
I love
No
it.
pressure, Mel.
No, I was like, I had already thought about it beforehand, and I was like, friendship, that's the one, of course. Mine's like, I think the next one that comes to mind, and it's twofold, of course, because it's me. Forced positivity, which is basically like what we're talking about today, but this idea of like feeling like you have to be like this forced positive light all the time. And and this is not my favorite F word, but what I'm going to say is like with that forced positivity, kind of like, let's identify it, right? Like let's, in where are you seeing it in yourself? Where are you seeing it outside? And like how to kind of like dismantle it a little bit. So maybe just more of like, maybe it's not my favorite F word, but right now, but maybe like finding the middle and kind of like keeping it top of mind when you're out there, you know, Navy SEAL scanning around, where we can dismantle that a little bit.
Where to focus, perhaps.
Yes.
That's it.
Ooh.
That. Love
we
that.
go.
Love that. Where can all of our people find you? Like, how do we get in touch with you? Where can we listen to the M-Take? Like, tell us everything.
Yes, we are available wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the above. It's at the M-Take Podcast. We're on Instagram at the M-Take Podcast, TikTok, YouTube, all of them. We're on YouTube with like shorts, but we don't have our actual full episodes up. But I like to say, once I get this baby out of me and like we'll like, you know, we can like watch me like slowly get smaller and like cuter in clips, then we'll be on YouTube.
Watch out, everybody. You're lucky she's got this baby inside her.
I was like, I just don't
now, puffy.
I don't need archival footage of like week by week, just like fitting less and less in my clothes, especially with this like close tight frame. I'm like, that's a Q4 project for us. But yeah, at the M-Take Podcast, you can find us everywhere. Please reach out. We are always asking, our whole thing is what we're taking on each week. So we're always asking our followers and our listeners to submit like things that they're taking on so we can take it on for them, or so that they don't have to take it on alone.
Oh, God. If you do not listen to them, I will be very upset. So you have to go. Thank you guys for being here. I enjoyed every second of this deeply, and I mean that sincerely. Thank you for your insights and your wisdom and your knowledge. And for you all, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Feelings and Other F Words.
Thank you so much for having us. This is great. Thank you.
Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.